Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generation discussion. And today, I wanted to talk to you guys about something that we got out of the last Boruto manga chapter that one of my patrons has dusted off their magnifying glass and potentially cracked the setup that we had in the last chapter. And if you're somebody who's still been saying that Amado can't be trusted because Amado is a sussy baka, my patron is right there with you and saying that Amado might be telling the truth about the daughter that he lost, but he's lying about everything else. And there's some credence to this because even Momoshiki warned Boruto there's a strong chance that Amado is lying, and given that Momoshiki's very existence is tying to Boruto staying alive, it makes perfect sense for Momoshiki to be telling the truth here. So what exactly did my patron say? Well, they picked up on some of the key lines that Amado said and came to the conclusion that not only is Amado lying, but he's got a whole different motive than what he's actually let on. And you're going to want to sit down for this one because this one's actually kind of thought out. So essentially, my patron said that Amado is actually planning to bring Shibai Otsutsuki back from another dimension. He said instead of writing his daughter's DNA into Kawaki's karma, he actually wrote Shibai Otsutsuki's DNA instead. So taking things a step further, he said that Amado's efforts failed at reproducing personality, which crossed into the domain of gods, was made only possible with the miracle of godly power. And when they read this, they immediately said that Amado was being sus and is trying to bring back Shibai's body into a physical body so he could, and he was trying to bring Shibai back into a physical body so he could use one of those wishes that Jigen promised to him by making Shibai resurrect his dead daughter. Now, my patron did say that they don't think that this is going to be the case, but they did think this was going to be a fun topic to bring to the channel, which I totally agree with, hence why I made the video on this. However, I want to go a step further here, so let's play devil's advocate. Would any of us really say we can't see any scenario where this man Amado does not try to take the power of a god for himself and is mixing in the truth with lies in order to cover up his intentions? I don't think that's crazy. In fact, we've seen with this series before that Amado has a point to where that's basically his character. That's what he does. This is how he was able to get one over on Jigen, hiding his lies through distractions and mixing in the truth at the expense of others, all while plotting on delaying Kawaki's karma long enough to set the stage for the current plan that we're seeing right now. He's okay with actually playing the long game. He mixed in truth with the Otsutsuki while lying to Naruto and the others, despite knowing that Ishiki was coming around the corner, because it allowed him to do the same thing that he did to Jigen, but to this time to Naruto and company. Tell the truth with your lies, and then use the events happening around you in order to cover up your lies completely, i.e. be a master of chaos like the 48 Laws of Power talks about, to a point where nobody suspects you, or even if they do, guess what? They have no evidence. This is why Shikamaru more than once lost his cool with Amado. He knew Amado was lying, but he couldn't prove it at first, and was literally, it was making his head hurt, and it took away his joy from smoking cigarettes because he knew Amado was the problem. He just couldn't prove it. Even Ada pointed out that Amado has a nasty habit of lying and using chaos that he basically helped create in order to make the situation where he can clean up the mess and make himself indispensable to all those around him, all while deflecting any attention off of his plotting and scheming. Even when she heard the truth about what Amado said about his daughter, Ada verified herself, and Ada made a point to say that at least at this point right here, he's telling the truth about that much, which means even Ada was not certain, and Ada was clearly saying that Amado was hiding something. Even Momoshiki had warned Kawaki, keep letting yourself get used by others, people like Amado, and you're gonna get fed to the ten tails. The moment Momoshiki realized Amado did the impossible and put the karma back on the Kawaki, even after Ishiki passed away, Momoshiki said like, yo, that dude Amado, he can't be trusted. There are red flags all around Amado. Is it really that crazy to say that Amado, who has a shutdown code on Kawaki, basically as a way to ensure Kawaki goes along with his plans, isn't going to take no for an answer, and if he does hear the word no, he's just going to take things a step further and tries to take the power of a god for himself. I don't think that's crazy at all. In fact, it's in character for Amado when you really think about it. The only question is if he's that desperate to bring his daughter back to life, to implant the DNA of Shibai into Kawaki's karma, all to get his daughter back, what does he do when this all-powerful Otsutsuki has a body again? The only thing that makes sense is if the Delta clone that is inside of Konoha that Kawaki would be putting that karma seal on also has some type of a control feature on it, which would allow him to prevent Shibai from being able to go through with harvesting the entire planet in order to get a chakra fruit. It's a trope in science fiction and just in literature in general, where man goes too far in trying to control the power of a god, and Amado is someone who has already shown he's arrogant enough to try playing God with what he's done with cloning. I think there's something here potentially. Amado has already shown that he won't go as far as burning down the entire planet by allowing Otsutsuki to harvest a chakra fruit, because he'd be basically bringing his daughter back to life just to kill her all over again, because what good is it coming back to life when the planet around you is dying? If he stopped at that line before, he'd do it again. And he's arrogant enough to think that his science is enough to keep the power of a god in check, and there's actually precedent for this. When Kashi and Koji killed Jigen, Ishiki reincarnated into a body, i.e. Jigen's body, that was too weak to sustain his chakra, and it eventually died out. So we at least know that an Otsutsuki is limited by the type of quality vessel that they have. Amado could use that as a bargaining chip to have Shibai bring his daughter back to life and use it as leverage. Bring my daughter back and leave our planet alone. In return, the shutdown sequence or control sequence, likely inside a Delta, is removed or shut off and able to be turned back on if Shibai ever returns. And because Shibai will be in a Delta body and he brings back Amado's daughter literally from the underworld, Amado has his daughter back in a living, breathing body that is made by Shibai, because if he can bring her back from the dead, he can also bring her back into an actual body. I'm actually with my patron here, in the sense that I don't think this happens, but I do think he's right about Amado having more of Shibai's DNA somewhere, potentially in Kawaki's karma, which explains why his karma is more advanced than it was when he last had the karma seal. It actually looked as if, despite losing the karma, Kawaki's DNA, it never stopped extracting Otsutsuki DNA into him, and it makes a lot of sense because Amado was tinkering around with his body under the guise of doing checkups the entire time on the ninja tech inside of Kawaki's body. This could be why the body sped up in the way that it did, because our favorite Sussy Baka was back at it the entire time. Again, I don't think Amado is planting Shibai's DNA into Kawaki or has already done it, but I do think this isn't crazy, and this might be a scenario where my patron fan theory is in the right neighborhood, but doesn't have the correct address, if you will. Meaning, he's close, but not quite at the proper destination right now. This was actually something, again, I don't think it's crazy. Adding this in with post-Boruto chapter 76 spoilers, I think there's a possibility this might be right. Again, in the same neighborhood, but not at the right address. Amado was telling the truth about his dead daughter. We know that because in the spoilers, the man was crying in this chapter, but he's hiding something clearly. That much has been clear now that I've seen the spoilers for chapter 76. Momoshiki and Ada were both staying up all night thinking the event's over. Amado is sussy. That being said, I'm curious to know you guys' thoughts on this. Do you agree with my patron or do you disagree? While you think that over, click here for my collaboration with Forever World on his Forever News channel about Jump Festa and everything expect with Naruto and the other series that are on the super stages, and click here to watch the Boruto chapter spoilers if you haven't already.